Hello? Not too long ago, a new expansion for one of my favorite games came out. Destiny 2, The Final Shape. I've been meaning to play it for a while, and I finally got around to it not too long ago. Just after I got done with all my work shifts that they scheduled me for 5 days in a row for 12-hour shifts. You love to see it. But nonetheless, I decided to do a little bit different because I was a little tardy to the party because of that. So I decided to beat the Destiny 2 Final Shape campaign on Legendary difficulty while getting high as balls. I should also say that most of this video will be post-commentary, as me being a vegetable during all the video did not provide great gameplay commentary. Also, as a little side note, I did occasionally take more hits for my deaths, but some of them I did not, so I didn't really add it as an official rule, as I usually just kept forgetting to do that. So just kind of a bit of a side note that some parts of the campaign I am a bit more zooted than other parts. But other than that, it's just me being absolutely zoinked while playing Destiny 2. Many days have gone into making this video, and with over 300 gigabytes of footage compiled into this venture, I would really appreciate it that if you do enjoy this video and do you find yourself coming back to this channel on the regular and you're not like and subscribed, make sure to do that. It's completely free and you can always change your mind. It also shows me that you would like longer forms of content that do take a bit longer to make. Otherwise, I will not make these because these take forever to make and I love sleeping. Anyway, that's all I have to say, and this is me beating the legendary campaign of Destiny 2 while high. First things first, when you first load into a destination, you gotta check out what gear you're rocking because I forget every single time I load in. But after that, I admire the beauty of this destination right before slaughtering my enemies that just happen to be conveniently in the way inside the Pale Heart. After that, I figure out that there's a new mechanic in this game, Icon of Light. With my absolutely magnificent big brain, I figure out what that does in 2 seconds. After that, we are introduced to a new species of enemy, which I promptly take care of. I will name these boy toys, as we will get into them later. After a bit more adventuring into this little sub-area before the Pale Heart, there is Taken, which I promptly take care of, but these ones I can't. For some reason, they're invincible. Don't worry, we'll figure out the clue to this mystery later. After being told to run like a little bitch from these guys, I promptly do so, smiling cheek to cheek, knowing that I don't have to fight these guys. Still deathless throughout this whole mission is kinda great, considering that I was absolutely fated as it's my first time getting high in a while. But I will take any victory I can get, as soon I will know the definition of getting your cheeks clapped on a Sunday night. After that, I was sent to a modestly difficult room where I had a little bit of challenge, but nothing that I couldn't handle, other than a jump scare from a big guy who just kinda stood behind me menacingly. After that boss encounter, we get rewarded with the juiciest blue arm piece you can ever think of that the witness can ever bestow us. And then Mars saw the queen herself, gets herself in peril and decides to moan lovingly in our ear. Turned on by this, we follow inside the Pale Heart of the Traveler. We're greeted by visions, and then we wake up in some weird platforms. After traversing these platforms for a while, and I mean a while, we are greeted by the Traveler's booty hole expanding upon us in her oh so mighty glory. And just like the bungee I remember, this place is so aesthetically pleasing it makes me want to come all over my jorts that I'm wearing right now. Seriously, congrats to the art team. I don't know if they were going for a Halo vibe, but that's what I get, and it hits all the right nostalgia points in my brain. Good job, Bungie. After this, the witness introduced another boy toy, arguably I think the best designed and most unique of them. These ones can fly and they screech at us, giving us irreparable ear damage in the form of tinnitus. Just like all the other boy toys, these ones just like to squeal a bit harder when I get a hold of them. Anyway, after disposing them, we get a little further into the Pale Heart. Then, and only then, do I experience the first ever taste of defeat at the hands of a Taken wizard. Honestly, not my proudest death, but for it being my first in a non-restricted zone, I'll take what I can get. As soon I will feel an ass pounding like no other. After taking care of some more foes and doing my first ever grab this put here puzzle, we're introduced to the Traveler's first ever booty hole light. This is the main selling point of this DLC, where you get to use light and darkness powers as one. Standing in this little fissure of booty juice, we get to transcend into our light and dark mode, effectively becoming supersonic. After easily dismantling our foes and having some fun with the new juice, we get sent to a different room where I have to choose a right or left direction in this pick your own adventure game. I choose left and kill the wizard there that's blocking my way, only for me to realize that blowing past all the enemies and just killing the main guys wasn't a wise idea, and get my second ever cheek clapping from this Taken Hive night. He was at low HP, and I couldn't execute him. I just could not. I couldn't execute. After getting so pissed to the point where I don't break my keyboard, I just go back and make sure I kill him this time, as to not have that same shit happen to me again, or it'd be the dooming of my keyboard and have to bust out one of the 30 I have in my closet. After this, you get to experience firsthand why this would be a challenge for me, because I am a profound mental reap. Forgot to activate my transcendent mode before I need to kill that wizard. Truly, only a man of my caliber can accomplish such a feat. Also, if you hear my dog moaning and groaning outside, it's because he can't shut the hell up. Hold on. After putting my marvelous brain power on display, I quickly dispose of the right side of the boss and then get meted with an even chunkier enemy that spawned directly in the middle after I got done. After defeating him, we promptly move up into the room where we decide that, hey, this is the old Vanguard war table, and there's also a booty hole here that we get to touch, oh so essentially, to get our darkness and light powers for good. Kinda like putting bacon in a pancake, this truly was a transcendental moment for our character development arc. Gathering our plus infinity ore, now we can use our light and darkness power in tandem whenever we choose to. And oh boy, are we forced to use it throughout the rest of the campaign, even if you don't want to. But that's no matter because our cool little boy powers are here, and we get to test them out perfectly on the Witness's boy toy forces as soon as we go to the next room, where Big Daddy himself decides to eye us down, and saying that we ain't shit but boats and hoes. We told him we're built like that and we just got plus infinity ore and take out his goons like they were nothing. After that, our ghost needs to take a break from the intense digging down we did to that twink femboy he sent our way. Don't worry, please send more. After that, we get to hear our heroic male voice too speak to us for our first time.
It's coming from over there.
Truly, Bungie went above and beyond for the voice acting for our own character. Even Peter Dinklage as Ghost couldn't even live up to the hype. After that, we get to meet our good old friend ourselves, Kate 6, where he tells us promptly to get some new foams. Truly, a man of his wisdom and caliber knows that when you got drip, you always got good foams. And boy, were we missing some foams. Let me know in the comments on a scale of 1 to 10 how drip my guardian is, because me personally, even down to the finest detail of my socks, I am dripped out. After getting promptly reunited with the best character IMO, we promptly have a sit down and talk where we get his tragic backstory of how Cade is made of light and not himself, but it's okay because he's here in the Traveler because he's made of light. Where all people seemingly die to go here. I don't know, something like that. I don't even know what the hell. After that, we steal his little boy journal from him and we get to know all his dirty little secrets. And then we get to start the second ever mission, Temptation. After that, starting the second mission, Cade tells us that we need to go save Crow, and as Glint is worried sick about him as he went off on his own, thinking he was a big boy, but now got stuck in a cave. Cade tells us that everything in the Travelers matches the outside of the Traveler, which makes sense because the Shadow Legion Cabal didn't even exist up until about a year ago in the lore, and now they're inside of here, which they promptly served my first real death in the game. Me only being a little upset, take it like a man on the chin and don't slay every single Cabal before I get some peacetime. But in return, the game decides to throw a pretty chunky boss at me, which I actually solo first try because I'm just him. After getting some more mediocre loot, we go to the next room where we are promptly greeted with another butthole of the Traveler and yet another boss. We promptly have our way with him, and then we get to meet Crow finally in the cave after some lore dumping. After that, we meet back up with Cade and Crow back in our little boy cave, and then we have some therapy with Ghost once again. After that, we get to start up the third mission. Second mission was kinda short, but this one will make up for it tenfold, because I can't even pronounce the fucking name of it. And believe me, this mission did take me a while, not because it was difficult or anything, but because there's 17 billion fucking puzzles here. The Sigmund Freud experiment on those prisoners was less damning than me solving puzzle after puzzle in this game. Being absolutely faded while doing this was not any help either, as it took me well over 10 minutes at least for every single room. But after that, we get introduced back to another new enemy type. These guys spit out explosive things. I don't even know what they are, but they're things that explode and they track towards you. Kinda like the Lucid Hive Moss. It's very original Bungie, thank you. After seeing that Ikora has downed her ship over there, which I completely forgot to mention in the beginning, so I'm mentioning it now. We're trying to find Ikora. And I shit you not, this puzzle room took me over 25 minutes to solve because I thought that darkness pillar right there was already activated, but it was not. So after having the best moment of realization in the world, I quickly dispatched the enemies to the next room, and oh boy, would you look at that, another fucking puzzle. Yes, Bungie, yes, please, puzzle after puzzle me, boss after boss, man. Oh! After absolutely being enthralled to have another puzzle be thrown at me, I quickly solved that shit because I have nothing better to do with my life, and we finally get to go to Ikora's shit down there. We probably don't get to see her at all, but we do get to talk to her on via communication that she is okay. Don't know why we had to go to her ship and scan it to find that out, but you know what, whatever, all is cool. But then it must have been an ambush. Ikora must be working for the other side because we get a giant ogre named Pillar of Silence. And for being named Pillar of Silence, he is quite fucking loud. And with his loud ass stomping around, I get served my third death of this game. Only being mildly annoyed, I get to whip out my golden gun in revenge. And this little bitch ass runs away from me. So I follow his ass down to show him that how dog shit he is and once, and he promptly sends out more of his goons to come and jump my ass, which promptly works, getting me even more upset for my fourth death of the run. Oh, out of all the enemies, it had to be fucking Thrall, that you can never get the perfect amount of HP to fucking just... After that, he kills me one more time with this little force push for good measure before I finally lock it in. At this point, it was almost 12 a.m. when I finally decided to defeat this boss. And I was really feeling the effects of being not only tired, but extremely fucking high. But that didn't matter, because the amount of euphoria I got from laying my dick in this boss's throat was nothing else compared to Marsov's feet pics. After that, we get another Fortnite reference in meeting Kevin the Cube in Destiny 2. The biggest crossover since Destiny 2 and Fortnite, if you might ask. After that, we get sent to a pretty large open area where we also get served another death at the hands of them suicide bombers that Bungie decided to add in. Dude. Oh my god. Oh, it's just annoying. Only being mildly upset, I pick myself up by the bootstraps and go and kill the rest of this boy's homies after activating Transcendent mode and kill the chunky tormentor at the end. While Ikora Ray's bitch ass was sitting up there on a rock meditating, I was defending her. I don't know why she couldn't have done shit, but you know what, all is well in the universe. After that, Ikora, being a woman, is pretty upset to see her dead friend in front of her face, instead of being so happy that she has to get to see her dead old friend for the first time in a long ass time. Honestly, I don't know why this reaction was thought was appropriate. I would personally be crying on my hands and knees if I saw my dead best friend once again reappear. All jokes aside, next we get to start the fourth mission with a name I can actually pronounce, Requiem. Here I equip my favorite ever gun in the game, the Sunshot, and get to quick work of the Fallen that was promptly greeted me. After this, we get to introduce to new mechanics where we need to solve matching symbols to a boss that drops another matching symbol. In this case, it was a Fallen Shank at the back of a room with some annoying ass enemies defending him, because this is legendary difficulty. After promptly matching up the symbols, we are greeted to the next area where we get to fight people in, where the Fallen tried to summon Maharaga on my ass. But me being him, stopped them dead in their tracks. Next, this wall turns into a door and decides to open for me, where it reveals a bunch of freaky hands, which I promptly go into because I'm a freak like that for real. And oh boy, was I actually not like that for real. Because this next room it led me to took me an hour and a half to complete. But for your viewing pleasure, it will take only just over 2 minutes. Let me set up the room for you. First, this encounter starts off with a bunch of flying people, but that's okay. They're not even a side dish. The main course is still coming. The real encounter doesn't start until you actually hop down into the room where more enemies actually get summoned, and you need to kill all those enemies, including the flying ones from before, to activate that little spinning tome thing right there. Don't really know what it's called. Once that is shot, you've been touched by a gilf, and you either need to choose the left or the right side of the room to clear out first. I chose the right side every single time because the left side looked like it had more cover. You're greeted with a small room with a bunch of annoying ass enemies with either tracking guns, invulnerability, and shields, or big ass health bars get to meet you with their cocks in their hand stroking that shit to you. Luckily, individually these guys aren't strong at all, they're just annoying as shit, so I'd make quick work of them while bitching the whole time. After that, the heavy shank drops another symbol for us to defend, but oh boy, if you thought that was it to the rest of the room, you'd be dead wrong and we'd be moving on by now. After defeating one side, Bungie decided this room wasn't hard enough and decided to spawn in even more annoying ass enemies with shields that I also didn't have any single matchup besides my heavy weapon for a while. And just get to spawn slow traps and exploding traps, just for the cherry on top of that shit flavored cake. This truly was becoming hell. Not only did I have to watch my step, but I had to avoid sniper fire, deal with chunky health bars, enemies rushing me down, and bullet tracking weapons. Needless to say, I encountered my 7th death here at the hands of a captain and a sniper shank. In case that wasn't enough, my next ever attempt I died in the stupidest way possible, which basically solidified that this was going to be the last mission I do before I head to bed. Being immature, man, I just let out a deep sigh and went at it one more time because that's the sensible thing to do. This attempt was looking promising as I got to the left side of the room and cleared every single ad in the middle. And all I had to do was actually not even kill that servitor right there, but instead match up the symbols. But instead, I decided to try and shoot the servitor and blow myself up once more. Needless to say, I was a little more than upset and would be more than willing to put shit I cannot put on YouTube on this platform right now, but I would love this video to stay up as this is my second time recording this script and I do not run and record it for a fourth. After that, I promptly head to bed where I wake up the next day after work, get absolutely high once more, open up my OBS, only press record, but not actually record because I didn't press record for some fucking reason because I was high or something. I remember this clear as day. I died 2 more times, bringing my total death count to 11. One can only imagine the roller coaster of emotions I was feeling when I looked at my OBS and realized that that big red button was not red. Moving on from that hellish encounter and a mix of emotions in my body, I press on. Next we encounter Zavala, the last of our little boy crew we have to assemble, guarding a replica of his homestead before his family got brutally murdered by the Fallen. In order to protect his pride and dignity and along with his family's memory, we help him defend his homestead, where the Fallen definitely do not compensate in any way, shape, or form by sending their biggest robot known to man to fight me. The Guardians outscale Gundam characters and promptly take care of the big-ass robot with no issue. After that, the witness realized he might need to step up his game and sends out more of his forces, which I also take care of without any peril whatsoever. After the little saucy room encounter, we get to experience Zavala's wife again be turned into stone. Everyone runs with Deborah, he always pulls out some weird shit. After listening to Zavala's little sob story, we get to have some more therapy with our ghost. And right after that, we get to start the 5th mission, Ascent. After that, we get introduced to a quote-unquote new mechanic into the game, where now we have to pick up a glowing black ball, probably a ball of darkness or something, that we can actually use as a weapon as well, so this mechanic's actually not too bad. And we have to throw it into, guess what? A wall full of darkness. Truly a revolutionary game mechanic that should be implemented in every single mission from here on out. After doing that easy ass room clearing out the enemy forces, we get rewarded with some loot. Let's fucking go. After that, we have to, and I quote, ascend. After reaching a little plateau area onside this icy mountain, we get encountered with a boss room full of Vex. I did not expect Vex, honestly, and I was expecting to have a bad time, as Vex is my second worst enemy just because of one enemy type called the Wyvern. I absolutely hate these bastards and they always do a shit ton of damage, but surprisingly, I didn't even get touched once. That he speaks volume for my build, skill, both, or just the Vex in general, because after saucing them up with my infinite aura, I get blessed with some more loot. Truly, this mission is the gift that keeps on giving. After traveling a bit more and seeing a bit more freaky fingers, we get entrapped with another boy toy which we promptly have our way with and get sent to another parkour room. Truly a hunter's wet dream. After taking care of the flying enemies with the sniper I just put on, we get encountered with the hardest boss room of this mission. We get to deal with another taken Vex boss. Who would have thought? They're using another recycled boss that was such high build-up in Season of the Splicer. But either way, I'm just happy that they're using assets, I guess. Honestly, this room feels like it should have been a challenge, but to me, it was honestly pretty easy. Because of my thought process this way, after every single death from now on, I took a rip of my Fent cart. Like my aforementioned rule, this really wasn't a rule up until now, but because this room was so easy, I decided that if I ever were to die in this room and have to reset, I would take another hit. And every single death from here on out, I would. With a little bit of game knowledge, skill, and a good build, it can turn any single room into a cakewalk, IMO. After getting this guy to half health, he put up his shield again, realizing he's not him, and sends out his little toys again. After that, we have to go into one of the side rooms once more, picking your choice left or right, and killing another boss. This time, instead of being a heavy shank, it is a Vex Wyvern. To drop a symbol, we have to match up once again somewhere in the room. After that, I decide to miss every single shot on this guy that's 1 HP. I also accidentally missed up the glyph signs in this room, having to restart the boss encounter again. I guess this speaks volume of my brain, but I am fucking stupid. After having to do the room basically one extra time for good measure, we get rewarded with some loot and get to move on into where we got our own resurrected, emerging from the wall like a New York City rat. After touching the Winnower's bumhole one more time, we get blessed with a new power because she liked us so much. Wanting to test our new power out on some enemies, the game happily obliges, but realizing that I am not invincible promptly gets served a pound of ass whooping. Okay, well, not invincible. After that, I carefully make my way through the second time in this room, not dying, and we get to hear Zavala's depressed ass talk about how he misses his family and we're all gonna die. You're not making it any better, Zavala. The end of the world. Stop being depressed. After that, we get to have some therapy with Ghost one more time before I actually use my brain and pick up some bounties to do while I'm actually doing some mission. After that is kind of a different mission. This is sort of the sixth mission, but it's kind of not at the same time. These next sets of missions that the game has you do is actually the Lost Sectors. Which, if you don't know what a Lost Sector is, you don't play Destiny, but I'm sure you do. But a Lost Sector is just like a little encounter where it just split up into little mini encounters, where you just travel from room to room killing enemies until you reach a final boss. Kind of like a short version of the missions that we're doing now. So honestly, it's not very hard, so we're just going to skim over it until the last one, where you get to meet a friendly hive who helps us out, which is kind of strange because it's none of like that, but we'll take those where we can get them. After this, we find what we're looking for, which is another fissure of light, so Cade and Crow can go touch it and see what's up. Cade touches it and realizes he's not built like that, and sees the winner and manifest as his ghost. Then he does not like that one bit, because he lost his ghost and he loved his ghost very much. So he gets very upset and leaves. Crow following behind him because he had nothing else to do, leaving me with the friendly hive. I say my goodbyes and actually start the actual next mission, which actually is not the actual next mission, but it actually is a strike. And with just my luck, I only get paired up with one other dude to do the strike with. My boy Robin 29. Needless to say, this was going to take a while. And it sure did. It was a bit on the longer side for a strike, but honestly wasn't too bad because it was just a strike. After that, me and my boy grab some popcorn and take a seat to listen to the sweet juicy drama that's happening in front of us. And after that, together we decide we've had enough of their yapping and decide to finally finish off the boss of the strike so we can move on with our lives. After some more drama between Ikora and Zavala, we actually get to start the real 7th mission, Descent. And oh boy, was this one a cheek clencher. Zavala, after getting mad, storms off to go find the witness because he is upset that the light is not providing for him. So we get paired up with his ghost Targe, who also got left behind, to go and find him. We figure out that some of the veiled statues actually are part of the witness, but don't really like him too much, so they're sent out here as punishment. So we actually get to communicate to them to see what's up, finding a weakness that we can exploit for later purposes. After that, I experienced my unfortunate 13th death at the hand of 2 knights and a little watcher. Being none too pleased, we move on though. A little later in the mission, we get paired up in a little boss room filled with a bunch of the witness's forces, which we promptly take care of. After that, we just do a bunch of interrogations with my boy Tars to find where Zavala went before he's sent to this little mini pre-boss room for the boss room. Here we are tasked with killing 3 hive wizards in order to access the room below us, with each hive wizard being on one side of the room, either being forward, left, or right. After defeating the hive wizards, we are rewarded with a tormentor to kill next. After a close call, we take care of the tormentor with little to no issue and get to access the room below where the real boss encounter begins. After that, we do some more parkour because it's a hunter's wet dream. And then Lance randomly joins my call out of nowhere. I didn't even notice, and this is all he says before I meet him because he's kind of scared me and I was recording a video.
Goku is coming for you.
If Goku is coming for me, I stand no chance, even if I was a guardian myself. After making my way up, the witness decides to send 2 little twinks at me along with his big boy hunk boss, Fickrel. Or at least a Fickrel lookalike. Once again, this was going to be the meat and potatoes of this mission, the main area you stay in if you will. Me being him, clap all the cheeks with my plus infinity aura and my goat status. I did this boss encounter like it was nothing. Could've done this shit with my eyes closed actually. Though this still did take me 30 minutes, it got done eventually. After serving Daddy Fickrel, his big old servant a sleeper stimulant goo, we get to move on with our lives and make a mad dash for it because apparently Zavala's life is in danger or something. Here is when we get the closest booty clenching call I think I will ever have in the run. And personally, since we didn't get a checkpoint beforehand, would have put this down on my 13th reason why if I would have died here. On video it might not look too bad, but here my heart sank to the bottom of my ass cheeks where I can feel him playing basketball with my 2 nuts jiggling back and forth. After that booty clenching encounter, we get to ascend some stairs and find Zavala, where he betrays us basically like that in a drop of a hat. And now the witness is going to take over his mind. But Tars, being the goat he is, sacrifices himself for Zavala's life. Zavala, being even more depressed than usual, we comfort him by telling him that he's the commander and he should do his fucking job. That motivates him enough to no longer be a depressed sack of shit, pick himself up by his bootstraps and stop spending money on coffee and avocado toast. After this, we get to begin the 7th mission, where I don't know how to pronounce the name of this one either, so we'll just move on. It starts off with some basic forces confronting you because we found out how to defeat the witness and where he was made. The Witness does not like that, so he throws everything he has at us in hope of stopping us. These beginning encounters were nothing too crazy. I immediately take care of the forces and only had struggle with a big old hunkin' Tormentor who had a pretty chunky health bar. After a little longer than I would like, the Tormentor was finished. We got to get introduced to the final mechanic of this campaign, Shield of Darkness. Basically now the Witness has a little force field around him basically where you take damage in, and you will die if you do not get this Shield of Darkness buff. For 45 seconds, you're invulnerable to this shit. Needless to say, this mechanic is very annoying when it wants to be. After this, we are sent to a little boss arena room. We have to do puzzles, and guess what? Kill bosses. And who would have thought the Shield from Darkness and the Darkness debuff gets used once again in this mission at the lower part of the room, where you have to kill these little big hunking hive knights for symbols that we need to match up at the top of the room. After matching up the symbols at the top of the room, we get blessed with another boss we have to defeat. After a bit of struggling and using all of my ammo to defeat this boss, we get rewarded with more loot, and guess what? Another boss encounter straight after him. Truly, this was the mission of all time. This is basically a copy and paste from the last room, where we get to have a room at the bottom and a room at the top, where the room at the bottom has darkness, where you need the Shielded from Darkness buff in order to reverse into to not die, along with kill hive hunking knights who do symbols. We have to match up so you can get a weapon to take away the boss shield to do the DPS phase. After getting our ass jump scared a few times at the bottom area, we finally lock in and deal enough damage to where that boss calls us daddy and leaves. The Witness, not liking that, realized that he needs to run runs with us and confident he'll win. He tells us where he is so we can run runs with him. Little does he know, I don't run runs, I jump. Just like the art of Jump Kaizen, I brought my boys with me, and we're here to take him down together. After this, he presents his throne to us, where we get to rally one last time at the old Vanguard table, and Big Daddy himself shows up to show him how business is done. Kinda like the annoying ass kids who instigate fights but never gets in there. He just kinda watches you and sometimes throws a punch or two to act like he was involved in the fight and take all the credit for whoever wins and potentially loses. Just like those people in real life, you just kinda gotta ignore the Witness and avoid him whenever he comes to try and attack you. After dealing with some chunky twinks that the Witness sends at us, we finally get to figure out the mechanics of this boss arena and revealed to us. After killing the last of his army, we were blessed with a sword, the new mechanic of this little boss fight that honestly is probably the sickest shit I've ever seen. This sword apparently blessed with magical abilities for us to embrace the darkness even though it's made of light, where we get to cut out the dissenters within the Witness himself. The Witness does not like this, as we are physically cutting people out of him, so he sends us back out to fight his army one more time. After cutting out a second dissenter from the Witness, the boys finally arrived to do the jumping. Little did they know I'm the king at reverse jumping, and immediately blessed with another sword where I promptly take to the rest of his army, including himself, cutting out the last dissenter within the Witness that I can. After cutting out the last dissenter, the Witness finally decided to lock in and realize that playtime is over, and to power up to his max power and kick us out. Here we realize that we are not built like that and decide to make a run for it, where I promptly proceed to fucking walk off the edge of a platform. There I go. Awesome. I'm fucking so stupid. I want to shoot myself in the... Believe me, if there was not a checkpoint at the end of this running section, it would have been over for me. But also for good measure, I'd just have to die one more time, making this the 15th death of my playthrough. After that, we get a cutscene of the boys running away from the Witness, because we realize that we are not built like that and he is the king of reverse jumping. And then we get hit with the final cutscene of this game, where we actually don't defeat the Witness, but we did it in the raid, which I think is kind of bullshit, but I understand why, because it's the end of a 10-year saga they've been building up. So I'll give this one a pass. Honestly, for my closing thoughts on this, I thought the campaign was pretty good. I think the last mission was kind of weak sauce just because we didn't actually have like any real like, yeah, we did it moment. But I do understand because it's the big boss and they did it for the raid and it was a good raid. So I'll let it pass. So overall, other than some repetitive mechanics that it introduced, I thought it was solid. And I'd place it as my third favorite campaign. It would go The Final Shape, King's Fall, in D1, and the Witch Queen. To answer your burning question, yes, you can probably easily beat Destiny 2 Legendary difficulty campaign while high. But anyways, thank you for watching to the very end, and I'll see you in the next video.